Welcome back, contractors. We're back at it again with another Alice Fiction video. I'm sure most of you already have your favorite teams or an idea of what the meta is. But today, we're here to introduce some characters that you may want to take a look at. These characters are either low on most tier lists, or their use case is way too niche to consider under normal circumstances. But in fact, they perform really well once you know how to optimize them or put them in situations where their skills really shine. Without further ado, let's introduce these Folklore. Eurystheus is one of those Folklore with a skill set that lends itself well to a very specific situation. And that very specific situation is dealing with a lot of water enemies. Eurystheus' kit is all about either dealing more damage to water enemies or lessening damage taken from them. Her first active skill gives Water Slayer to herself and a selected ally, allowing you to do more damage to any water attribute enemies for 2 turns. Her second active skill reduces damage from water types for all allies for 2 turns. Her passive activates when there are 2 or more Earth allies in the team, and it gives Water Slayer to all allies in the party. You can put Eurystheus in an all-Earth party with Lancelot as the main damage dealer to really maximize your damage against water enemies and water bosses especially. Alternatively, you can use her to make up for weaknesses in fire attribute allies. Let's say Musashi is your only main damage dealer. If you're up against a water boss or an enemy party consisting mostly of water, Eurystheus can mitigate the extra damage from the affinity weakness and make up for the damage lost because of affinity resistance. Eurystheus is low on tier lists because she's not very strong in a general sense, but put her in the right situation and in the right party, and she'll prove to be a formidable ally. Cleopatra is another character that usually won't get much attention, but also would be very good in certain situations. Similar to Eurystheus, she does great when going against a mostly water attribute party. In fact, it may be good to have Eurystheus around if you're using Cleopatra to maximize her effectiveness against water enemies. Cleopatra's Crash skill is useful for damaging the entire enemy party as it targets 4 enemies at a time. Her first active skill gives Water Slayer to herself and a high special attack ally. Her second active skill boosts her special attack depending on how many panels the skill absorbs. Her passive activates when there's a full party of special type allies and boosts the special attack of everyone. Her optimal party and optimal use would be a special attack party designed to make short work of water parties. Archimedes is the only 3-star special attack type currently in the game, so if you have characters that can enable a special attack party, Archimedes can definitely be the head of that party. Her Crash skill inflicts damage on 2 enemies. This skill makes her a great crowd control party member. Her first active skill boosts her own special attack for 2 turns. Her second active skill puts up a barrier that protects against damage for 2 turns as well. Her passive is especially good because it has no activation conditions. Once you unlock it, it just boosts Archimedes' special attack permanently. She'd do well with Rousseau and or Pygmalion to increase her special attack. And naturally, being a water type, she'd do well with fire enemies. Viviane is a Folklore that's easy to ignore. Her Crash skill's damage isn't very good, but the rest of her kit can be very useful given certain conditions. Her first active skill is a 100% chance to inflict virus on 2 random enemies. Virus is like a poison status ailment in that it damages the enemy at the end of every turn. The damage is a little negligible, but the kicker is in her second active skill. The second active skill gives herself and a selected ally Virus Slayer, which lets a character deal more damage to an enemy with the virus status ailment. Her passive, on the other hand, would give everyone a Virus Slayer status if there's another debuff type in the party. She would work well in a party that focuses on a main damage dealer like Musashi, Ushiwakamaru, or Lancelot. Usually you'll find Qinshe Huang and Kojiro in these types of parties. Because Viviane is a water type, her presence will activate Kojiro's passive. On the other hand, the presence of Qinshe Huang will activate the passive of Viviane. The main damage dealer then receives Viviane's active and passive Virus Slayer, letting them put out more damage on the virus-afflicted enemies. There aren't a lot of water characters in the game yet, and at the moment, Viviane is the only one that can somewhat synergize with Kojiro. So having her in the party will also help you max out Kojiro as well. Andersen has a very specific set of skills that only works on a particular party arrangement, namely, one that involves having both a special attack and physical attack damage dealer. Andersen has the ability to debuff 4 stats. The first active skill debuffs physical attack and physical defense for 2 turns. The second active skill debuffs special attack and special defense for 2 turns. Her passive activates when there are 1 or more buff type allies and when there are 1 or more attack type allies in the field. It decreases the physical defense and the special defense of those 4 enemies on the field. So if you're planning to have both a special attack and a physical attack folklore in your party, Andersen is a must. So there are our picks for surprisingly strong folklore. These folklore have the potential to be great, but sadly only in very select situations and builds. Do you have a folklore that's core to an off-meta or wacky party setup that we didn't list down? Sound off in the comments below. And if you're looking for more Alice Fiction content, check out our Alice Fiction playlist to learn how to play the game. For in-depth information on the game, check the links down below to the GameMate website. Till next time, fellow contractors.